Hello everyone, welcome to our update. I found that we usually focus on compatibility before marriage but rarely on compatibility in marriage, which is not ideal as compatibility in marriage fills the gap between the personality and character traits of the couple and help the marriage to survive its reality. I have seen both successful and failed marriages, so I understand the need for compatibility in marriage. Statistics shows that most marriages have a high tendency of failing in their early stages, as this is the most delicate phase in a marriage where these two people come together to practicalize the word that they emphasize. This is usually a demanding stage for the couple as they learn to adjust to their reality. And so you may hear phrases like, "She is not the one I married," or "I don't know him anymore." Yeah, right, you do, because it is time for you to face the consequences of your choices. At this point, I'm appealing that you please like, subscribe, and share, as this will help this message to reach more audience. Every marriage is a work in progress, and there is no formula to a beautiful marriage. That is why you have to study your spouse and find out what works with them. In my last video, how to find your best match, I said there that the first thing to do would be to find out who you are. Now that you are married, it is time to find out who your spouse is. And someone is like, "I know them very well, it's just that they have a way of driving me insane." That tells me that you don't know them, because if you did, you will not be complaining about the same issue you've been on since the first year of your marriage. And that's not necessarily because they have changed, but because you have changed your reaction towards them. Windaya said that if what you're looking at is not changing, then change the way you look at it. I was speaking with a loved one a few weeks back, and she told me that she has issues with men that don't overlook women's drama with the understanding that they're weaker sex. And I was like, "You're right, but I don't quite agree, because it's a two-way traffic." We also have to understand that men are egocentric beings and are likely to act like that depending on how mature the person in question is. But it's not okay to go about stepping on people's toes just because you feel like you're weaker sex, right? Highlights that enhances compatibility in marriage. 1. Don't start anything you cannot sustain. So let's say you don't have the drive or energy to have sex 20 times in a day or different angles to it. Let them know from the onset that you're not a horse. Do well to discuss anything that you cannot guarantee the sustenance from the onset, especially major concerns like finances, as it will help prevent future drama, because some people are just so unappreciative and insensitive that they just don't get it. 2. Entitlement. Entitlement is very terrible in a marriage. According to Bill Belly, we live in an age of entitlement as opposed to enlightenment. This is unfortunately true, as you find people just cross their hands and make demands or complain all day because they feel that they play a certain role in the home or they should be treated in a certain way. Hey, this is a marriage and you are a party to a union, which means that the success of this marriage largely depends on you and should be your utmost priority. So cut off that entitlement crap and do what you can to move this marriage forward. If your wife traveled and the house is unkept, I don't see what is stopping you from fixing it. And if as a wife you have to pay the bills sometimes for some reasons, then why aren't you doing it? Entitlement will make you very ungrateful and irresponsible. Do well to desist from it. 3. Be intentional. In my opinion, intentionality is the mother of every successful marriage. Like I said earlier, I have 3 very sweet brothers, but sometimes I just feel like donating them to charity. Just kidding, but my way of saying that even people that are born by blood and are raised under the same roof have issues sometimes. What more total strangers? That is why you have to be intentional about forgiving them, caring for one another, and committing to one another. According to John Maxwell, intentionality is about living your best story. Be intentional about seeing the future of your marriage. Wake up every morning with the mindset that this marriage must work regardless of who's not happy about it. I know a lady that anytime she's upset with her husband, she'll be like, "I'm done, I will divorce you, blah, blah, blah." One day I asked her if she's serious and she said no. And I was like, next time you get that upset, just tell him, "I know you want me to leave you, but we're in this together. together. And she told me later that she told him and he started smiling and left. Please, please, and please, whether you're male or female, never threaten your spouse with divorce like their life depends on you, because it doesn't. Moreover, you are sowing a seed that you don't want to harvest. 4. Men are visual beings and women react to words. So as a wife, ensure that you keep him wanting. I understand that having kids comes with a lot of responsibilities, but I always counsel people never be too caught up with responsibilities that you forget that you and your partner were there when the kids arrived and will still be there when they leave. I have this friend that every time you see her, she's always about my kids, my kids, my kids, almost like mother hen. So when I asked her, are these kids really your husband's children, or is there something I'm missing out on? And she started laughing and told me that even her husband has asked her the same question. So I told her, if you continue like this, you're going to lose this marriage and you regret it for the rest of your life, because whether this marriage fails or it succeeds, your kids are still going to move on. So that is why you have to create a balance between your role as a wife and as a mother. A lady actually posted on internet that the mother did not pay attention to her marriage, that is why it failed, and now she wants to teach her how to run her home. Anyways, as a wife, ensure that you keep him craving, and as a husband, always tell her you love her and keep reminding her you love her. Always compliment her, compliment her hair, her cooking, her looks. Never stop complimenting her. 5. Appreciation. Humans love to be appreciated, so ensure that you celebrate them for the little and they will feel indicted to do more. Don't be that spouse that only sees fault. Ascertain that you give them credit whenever you're pleased with them, and it will bond you in a way that you can't even imagine. Ensure that you use kind words like thank you for loving me, thank you for always being there for me, thank you for being such a great spouse, or I am very proud to be your spouse. 6. Communication. Marriage is about companionship, so anytime you start to feel lonely is a sign that you need to communicate more. Ensure that you find out how best to communicate with your spouse, down to language, tone, and approach. And in case of misunderstanding, keep in mind that when two people are talking, no one is talking, and you can never prove a point when your spouse is upset, no matter how right you are. So the best thing and the best way to de-escalate will be to be quiet. According to John Powell, communication works for those that work at it. So ensure that you keep working on improving the communication with your spouse. 7. Avoid third parties, because people will cancel you based on their understanding of what a marriage should look like, their experience in marriage, or their interest in your marriage. So keep in mind that no marriage is the same because the parties involved are different. Also, some third parties will not hesitate to put your issue on CNN News. So if you desperately feel like you need help, speak to a counselor. 8. Teamwork. According to Helen Keller, alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much. If you know any couple that works as a team, their growth is usually fast. So ensure that you carry your spouse along in any endeavor, because even if it's not financial support, their moral and spiritual support will go a long way. 9. Respect him and love her. One of the greatest weaknesses of a man is his ego. So if a woman can avoid getting in the way of his ego, their problems will be half solved. That is why you need to respect him. Science shows that a woman speaks about 20,000 words per day. And that even scares me as a woman. But that is why you have to love your wife, as it will help you to ignore her rattling. However, the fact that you're egocentric and she talks too much is not the gateway for you both to hurt yourselves. That is why you have to be intentional. 9. Respect. The way you treat your spouse is the way others will treat them. So if your friends and family treat your spouse with disrespect, that is because you disrespect them in front of them. So if you're a kind of person that calls your spouse dumb before others, that is sheer stupidity, because let's be real, it takes a dumb person to choose another dumb person as a spouse, and it says a lot about your personality. According to Taylor Swift, we don't have to share the same opinions as others, but we need to be respectful. 10. You don't know what you have until you lose it. Never take your partner's love or kindness for granted. You will regret it. Meaning that let love lead. So ensure that every decision you make is in love and with love, as love conquers all. Finally, and most importantly, ensure that you pray regardless of what you believe in, because a couple that prays together stays together. I hope this video was helpful. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share. Be blessed. Bye.